All right. Hello, everyone. We're live here with our FPL Under the Radar Game Week 4 preview video. Good evening, good morning, and good afternoon, wherever you are. I'm here with my buddy, my co host, FPL Wrangler. How are you doing, buddy?
Hi, buddy. I'm doing good. How are you?
Doing it, doing it. Not too bad, not too bad. Excited for the upcoming congestion of fixtures in PL and FPL. So, yeah, just looking forward to that.
How was your
How
game
was it?
week?
It was okay. It was. I mean, it was. Everyone had a poor game week, right?
hmm
So mine was similar. Salah kind of saved the game week somewhat at the last moment, but yeah, could have been better. Could have been worse also, right? If
Right.
especially if the template did well, like the uh, big at the back, right? So if that did well, that would have been bad for me also. So not too unhappy, still kind of with the crowd, not too far behind. So yeah, cannot complain. How's yours?
Yeah, it was a low scoring game week, right? So
Mm-hmm.
was above average. Got a slight green arrow. So it's
Mm-hmm.
good that I we got two back-to-back green arrows, even if it's smaller. But
Mm-hmm.
I mean, right now ranking is really not a big deal,
Yeah.
right? 1 point difference actually makes a huge difference.
Right.
Rank, but again, at least it was all right. The back was very shambolic, right? The
Mm-hmm.
I have big at the back, as you know.
Yeah.
The transfer that I did was like, I mean, it was kind of a forced transfer. So I just downgraded Bailey to a 4.5 read.
Mm-hmm.
Otherwise, I had to burn transfer. I had two free transfers, so it was kind of a forced transfer I did, and
Yep.
yeah, it was okay. And again, at least Man United did good, so that was
Mm-hmm.
really something to cherish
Sure.
about. I really
Absolutely.
didn't think about FPL much, to be honest. So yeah.
And you have Perisic also, right? So that
Oh
that
yeah, right.
that
Yeah,
felt
he
good
saved
too.
my life. I already had
Yeah.
from game week one, benched him for 2 game weeks, and at least he paid off.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
All right. So let's dive into it. So we'll be talking about fixtures a whole lot today because, as I said in the beginning, also game week 4, 5, and 6, basically 30 games within 9 days or so. So it's a lot to kind of digest. Just kind of talk about the fixtures a little bit, and then we'll talk about, as we always do, the on the team and player data based on game week 1 to 3. Of course, still small sample, but we're still kind of trying to figure out what the trends are. We'll talk a little bit about the potential transfer moves for the defenders, for the midfielders, and for the forwards. Who are the guys that the community is going for, and how viable they are as potential options for the next few weeks? Looking at their fixtures as well again. And of course, at the end, we'll talk about game week 4 fixtures. What are the fixtures to target and the potential captaincy options? And as we always do, we'll talk about our own team selection as well. So let's go to the fixture part first. Again, game week 4 to 6. This is critical. This was done by FF Scout Neil. So thanks to him for doing this. So kind of trying to understand what the how the fixture congestion looks like in the next few days for the next 3 game weeks. First midweek game, right? And again, generally we don't get these early midweek games in EPL, but because of the World Cup and everything, they had to kind of shrink everything right in down. So that's why we have a midweek fixture in game week 5. So if we look at the fixtures, it is tough, right? A lot of teams have are playing on Saturday and they have games in Tuesday again. And some of the teams who are playing on Sunday, they most of them have games in Wednesday. There are a few the other way around as well, but mostly that's the case. And then right after that, the Saturday after, again there are games for game week 6. As we see here, basically, if we look at say for Man City, for example, right? So they're game week 4 to 5, they have a decent enough rest, Crystal Palace and Forest. But before their Aston Villa game, they have barely 2 days, so less than 72 hours of rest in there, right? So that's going to be tough, especially City being kind of rotation prone. We know we all have been burned by Pep before, so that's going to be something that we have to look out for. Liverpool, Not too bad. Again, similar story, right? The Bournemouth and Newcastle in game week 4 and 5, 3 days of rest there. But before the Everton fixture, only 2 days of rest. But we were talking about this before we started the video as well. Right? Liverpool's squad is kind of thin right now, so we don't probably expect as much rotation for Liverpool. They still have to play their mostly their best 11, maybe a little bit here and there. But the more popular FPL assets will still probably play, right? Uh, as for the other big teams, like if we look at Chelsea, theirs actually look decent. Their game week 4 to 5 is actually a smaller gap. Leicester and Southampton, they have a decent enough rest before game week 6. So midweek probably is going to be kind of a rotation week for them. But again, I don't expect even for Chelsea to necessarily rotate their uh, players that are actually FPL assets. Maybe someone like Kukurea or Chilwell, if Chilwell is fit, maybe they can swap. So something like that can happen during the midweek. Arsenal looks decent. They have 3 days of rest between 4 and 5 and 5 and 6. Uh, and who else in here can we talk about? Tottenham, again, similar. They play on Sunday and they play on Wednesday and on Saturday. So kind of congested for them. So 2 days of rest for between both the game, all the 3 game weeks. So could be something we can potentially see that Richarlison start probably for the first time, something like that. There is a possibility of that happening. But yeah, that's basically the big teams, right? We'll talk about the UCL fixtures a little bit later as well. And anything that you want to comment on this, Wrangler?
No, I think you covered pretty well. So yeah, Spurs actually is the worst one amongst all the big teams. Look like, and someone is actually asking the color code in the chart is basically like the more red each basically is very congested fixture.
Yeah,
Um,
less rest essentially. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um, I just wanted to also highlight here Wolves is the same thing like Spurs. So it's
Hmm.
Sunday, Wednesday, and Saturday games. So those who
Hmm.
have like Neto, kind of be wary about it.
Yeah.
For Man City though, they played already in midweek against Barcelona, so it's good thing that like Holland at least started late. So expecting he's gonna start this game week, and they have a decent gap until
Hmm.
the next game week. So expecting probably he's gonna start, but again, as you said, in the game week 6, it's very congested, and it's actually before the UCL first week game, right? So
Hmm.
we might see lots of rotation in the game week 6, but I hope game week 4 and 5 should be okay for Man City. But still, look for the predictors like if we scout Luke or like Emma or some other in the community who has been doing these phenomenal jobs, in terms of prediction.
Hmm.
But yeah, something to definitely look for the Man City, especially like I think Haaland should be good, but if you have like people like Foden or Gundogan, if you think make sure you check those first before you make the move. So
Yeah, yeah. I think for at least for City game week 4 and 5, we're probably okay with holding Haaland. Game week 6 is going to be critical. Of course, the gap there, and we'll next basically just quickly talk about the UCL kind of roundup as well. The draw was today. I did not have a chance to look at the fixtures yet, but Man City has a decently tough group: Sevilla, Dortmund, and Copenhagen. um, Depends on whether they of course play on Tuesday or Wednesday, but no matter what, because of the short turnaround between game week 5 and 6, there is a likelihood that they would probably rest some of the players, and Haaland being one of them, right? If they rest anyone, I think Haaland would be kind of on top of that list. And Pep already said that. I mean, not necessarily we have to trust Pep. It's hard to trust Pep for any squad related um, talks, but there is a likelihood of that happening, right? So we'll have to look at the fixtures, of course, whether they play on Tuesday or Wednesday. But game week 6 is likely the rotation possible rotation fixture for Man City. Liverpool, as we said, I mean, I don't see how they rotate with this thin squad, right? They are already running pretty thin, especially the likes of Salah, Trent, Robbo. Maybe Robbo to Simicas one of the matches, possibly, but again with their form, with their already losing points, I don't see that happening necessarily. Like they would want to win, they want to play their best team every game week if possible. So yeah, a little bit rotation here and there, but yeah. Omkar is asking any chance of KDB rest. I think KDB is probably more likely to play than Haaland. So if you have a premium, and I think by the time we get to game week six, there will be a lot of discussion about whether we want to move from Haaland to Kane, kind of change the structure a little bit. There is a possibility of that happening, right? Of course, there's a big structural change and additional money also, right? 0.5 million more KDB. But I'm pretty sure there will be a discussion because KDB is less prone to rotation. He can also be rotated. I mean, there is no question that he can also be rotated, but I think he's less likely to be rotated in comparison to Haaland. What do you think, Renga?
Yeah, I think as you said, probably KDB is gonna be more like nailed, or kind of he's gonna have more minutes than Haaland, and he definitely can outscore um, Haaland, as Pras was also mentioning in the burning question series yesterday.
Hmm.
And I agree with that actually. So I think it's a decent move if you think, um, for more minutes, because Haaland is expensive, right? It's 11.7 now.
Yep,
So if he doesn't start, it's really, I mean, very much, disappointing as an FPL manager, right? So,
correct.
but yeah, I think we need. I mean, as you say, it's kind of wait and see, because we'll get some understanding how they start in game week 4 and 5.
Hmm.
So yeah, we need to decide whenever things come.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, things change so fast at this stage of the season, right? There is so much information coming in. Transfer window is not even closed yet, right? So who knows what will happen in the next 6 7 days? So just, I mean, make sure that you don't waste your transfers, right? Transfers are more valuable than ever. So make sure that you make good use of your transfers. That's one comment, definitely before this fixture congestion.
And also, information is very valuable too. So
Yeah, the
make
more
sure
you
you
wait, the more information you get.
exactly.
Yes.
So make sure you get a lot of information before you make your moves.
Arif is asking about the Liverpool defensive assets. We'll talk about them when we talk about the defenders. So thanks for the question. Arif. We'll get to that. So let's talk about the team form a little bit, team data. So as we kind of spoke last time also, not a lot has changed. We did say that Liverpool defense looks shaky. They did look shaky against Manchester United. Not that Man U defense itself looks that good, but they did have a very good game against Liverpool. They tried their best. Everyone gave their best. So it was a pretty good game for Man U, as you mentioned in the beginning as well. So Liverpool is still kind of shaky, definitely shaky. So we'll have to look out for that. Their fixtures are still good, right? So that's one thing that it's hard to kind of just move away from a Robertson or a Trent or a Diaz, whatever your second or third Liverpool assets are. I don't think anyone is thinking, any involved manager is thinking about selling Salah for sure. But those second or third assets, what we are kind of worried about. So we'll talk about that a little bit later as well. Man City still looks very, very good. Arsenal, surprisingly, is looking like the best defense, at least data wise, looking like the best defense. They could have considered in that Palace game for sure. But otherwise, they just look rock solid. Their fixtures are still pretty good all the way up to game week 7 or 8. So I mean, no reason to even worry about your Arsenal assets right now. They look good attackingly. They're good from a defensive standpoint as well. Crystal Palace, surprisingly, even with the harder fixtures, we did talk about this when we were talking to Diane before in our preview video, right? That Crystal Palace starts with a tough set of fixtures, but their numbers still have been pretty good, right? So they are putting up good numbers. Uh, in all the big teams, big-ish teams, right? So there's something to look out for. Their fixtures are not the best in the next 4 or 5 game weeks, but it does turn better maybe after game week 6 or so. So definitely something to look out for before you wildcard or on your wildcard whenever. Something to definitely look out for. Tottenham looks good from a defensive standpoint. Attacking wise, they did not look that good, to be honest, right? Kind of lackluster performance against Chelsea, very lackluster against Wolves in the first half, especially second half. Maybe in the last 30 minutes, they looked okay. Uh, but they're not necessarily creating a whole lot of chances, right? Unlike what they were doing like in the latter half of the season last year, right? So that's something to look out for. I think they will be okay. It's hard to imagine that the likes of Kane and Sons will keep like failing or keep being bad. I think they will find a way. Conte is a very good coach, so he will find a way to make sure that Tottenham looks better from an attacking perspective. Brighton and Brentford still looks good, as we said last time too. Teams to target, their fixtures are still good from both attacking and defensive perspective. The defenders are good, cheap defenders, and their attackers also are kind of in that mid price bracket. Still good players to target. Leeds is kind of the surprise package, right? What do you think of Leeds so far? How do you see Leeds moving forward? Their fixtures also not that bad. Pretty good fixtures upcoming.
Yeah, they did good actually, even in a tough fixture, right? Against Chelsea, they won 3-0, which really we didn't expect much, right? So that's where,
Yeah.
and also as you said, the fixture is coming good. Their players are looking very good, although Rafinha is not there. But I mean, I really didn't feel that, and it looks like not only offensively but defensively also they are making really, I mean, keeping things tight, right? So definitely, some of the players we're going to talk in the later part as well. But
Mhm.
it's really a surprising package, and the fixture are coming good. And if that continues, then we might get our enablers from the lead side that we are looking
Yeah,
for. So
absolutely.
Fulham is actually another good package, although their XGC is kind of a little high, but
Not
XG
bad.
wise, right? They've been doing like front foot press, and even again it's the same thing like Crystal Palace. Even if their fixture was not the very best, right? They started with Liverpool, and their game was not really very like
Mhm.
easy, but it's still their XG is really. I mean, it's only 3 game week data, but again, it's
Yeah, they look
impressive.
good.
So
In general, they look good. They look like a
exactly.
scoring, right? They're not one of those teams that doesn't look like a scoring.
Right.
Definitely. I do expect them to score against Arsenal. As solid as Arsenal's defense is, I do still expect them to kind of come away with a goal at least from that game. The two other newcomers, Bournemouth and Nottingham, kind of on the bad part of the quadrants, right? So Bournemouth has literally done nothing from an attacking perspective. Of course, they were missing Solanke in the last 3 games. I think he's probably coming back game week 4. May not start, but he's probably in the squad for game week 4. Uh, so they will get better, but I think at least from an attacking perspective, they're uh, literally not giving us anything, right? So, and of course, Liverpool plays Bournemouth in game week 4, and that's one reason I don't think you should even think about moving out Robertson unless you need to change your team structure or something like that. I think Robertson is at least a solid hold for game week 4. Beyond that, you probably can start thinking changing your structure a little bit, moving your money to a cheaper defender or something like that. But for game week 4, I would hold. I'd definitely take the chance. Clean sheet almost looks guaranteed. I mean, of course, nothing is guaranteed, but at least looking at Bournemouth's attacking potential, it looks more than likely. And Nottingham Forest, right? They did get a clean sheet in game week 2 and almost got a clean sheet in game week 3 as well. I think they conceded in the 85th minute or something like that, 86th minute against Everton. But they do look very leaky, right? I was telling you, right? If it was not for Everton, they probably would have scored like 4 or 5 goals. I mean, Forest would have conceded 4 or 5 goals. Um, so yeah, I mean they just look very leaky. Again, they play Tottenham. So if you have a Kane or a Son or a Kulusevski, I think they are still kind of holes. I know it's hard to kind of hold on to, especially a Son who has not done anything at all in the first 3 game weeks. But I think this is the perfect game for them to kind of do well, right? And again, Conte is that kind of the coach, especially against smaller teams. He kind of goes in the front foot as well, right? So I do think that this will be a good game for Tottenham. And Forest is one of those teams to target, like last season, as it was Norwich or maybe even Leeds for a long period of the time last season. I think Forest are kind of going to be the whipping boys this year. West Ham also looks bad, right? West Ham and Aston Villa also are kind of in the fourth quadrant, looking bad as well. And they actually face each other, right? So I think again, if you have a Bailey, if you have a Leon Bailey, I am playing him, and I think there is a good chance of, I mean, of course he can get benched, so there is always that likelihood, especially if West Ham plays maybe five at the back. Maybe Gerrard will go for two attackers, Ings and Watkins, but I think there is a good likelihood that Bailey starts. He actually did score in the Carabao Cup in the midweek as well. Looks in good form. So I would just play him, I think, unless you are transferring him out for someone better at a higher price range or something like that. What do you think about the defense, like from an attacking perspective? Which are the teams to target moving forward?
Yeah, so basically, Sparts, as we see here, right? As you also mentioned, Liverpool definitely, like you hold whoever you have, um, and I guess Leeds and Brighton. I mean, we'll see some of their players as well, and their numbers look good. Their fixtures are coming good. So, and Arsenal definitely, I think people are already kind of triple up already, right? So those are the teams. So Arsenal, Spurs, Liverpool, and Man City is always Man City, right? So big teams are actually playing role here.
Mhm.
Chelsea, you cannot ignore. They are playing against Leicester City, and you can see Leicester City how leaky they are. XGC, right? So yeah, I mean, I think again, there's the thing we have been always talking, right? That the big teams have good fixture. Yeah, in the last week, all the big teams actually considered, but again, this is kind of
Mhm.
one of the weeks, so you cannot just decide based on that one of the, I mean, weeks where all the defender kind of fell apart. So, but again,
Correct.
yeah, I mean, I think I'm gonna back all the big teams, and surprise package is like Leeds and Brighton. So, and actually, I like the Bailey shout, by the way. I mean, he looked good. His goal was really awesome in the midweek. Even in the last game, he actually had very good chance. The I
Yeah.
think he would the
Should
post,
have
I
got that
guess.
assist for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
Watkins
but
missed.
yeah, I think big teams and Leeds and Brighton. So.
Okay. All right. Let's move on to the player data. If you want to take this away.
Yep. So here, basically, again, it's a 3 weeks data. Probably nothing to take much, but again, we thought to kind of show that which players are really doing good in the last 3 game weeks, and their price as well, like how they look like. So along x-axis is the price of each players currently. Well, we didn't consider today's price, right? But again, it's okay. And along y-axis is non-penalty xg plus xa, so non-penalty xgi. So again, as you saw before, right? Our four quadrant chart. So top right is always the best, and the top left here is basically, I'm going to start with the top left because that's basically you have higher price and your NPX, not non-penalty XG plus XJ is higher, right? That's kind of expect because you are putting more money, right, on the players, so you expect those players do good. And in that category, Haaland, De Bruyne, Kane, and Salah, although Salah, like I mean, he has been okay. There is nothing to worry about. But again, these four players are there, and Haaland, I mean, as we also told before, right, that he's right now 100% year right now, I guess, right, or close to 100%, right. So it's very difficult to ignore him. So and his numbers are there as well. It's not like he's overperforming. He's performing exactly what he's supposed to do, and he's playing for the best team, right. And De Bruyne there as well. So you can debate between Haaland and De Bruyne, but I think Haaland is kind of ahead of at least Kane in terms of number 3 gaming data, but Man City is looking good too. So now the most well disappointing one is the bottom left, right, and that's where people like Son has been frustrating so far, right? But again, it's Son, right, and they are playing against Nottingham Forest, so I don't know whether it's gonna be wise to um, remove him at least before the Nottingham Forest. But at least in terms of numbers, he is I mean, he's looking kind of frustrating, and I can understand why people are getting frustrated, right? Starling, well, actually, he had a couple of good chances. He should have probably scored. One of his goal actually was ruled out, but
Mhm.
yeah, his numbers were not the best compared to his price. Now, the most interesting part was the top right one, right? And that's where basically that we were talking, right? That people like Rodrigo or like, Jesus, like I mean, it's a kind of probably a crime, or we are blessed that he's 8 million, right? Because he's
Hmm.
performing like elite or like premiums, right? His
Yep.
non-penalty XGI is 0.92, and actually before this season, we in our preview we actually show that his last season data was zero point 0.7 ish, which
Hmm.
is pretty good still, right? And he's actually performing like an um,
Premium.
premium attacker, right?
Yep.
Now, people like Rodrigo, um, Tony, Zaha, um, Pesca Gross, and Harrison, right? Mitrovic. So those are very interesting ones, and people are really, I know that those people are really under the radar, right? Because the fixtures are coming good for these folks. Martinelli, I guess all of the people actually already doubled up or tripled up with Arsenal, and Martinelli is one of them. He has been that good, right? But in terms of interesting picks, as we mentioned, the Leeds and Brighton package, and even Brentford or Crystal Palace, we're going to talk about the fixture later. Those are really interesting ones, I feel. Okay, and your Bailey is there too. Looks like, although he was frustrating in the first 1 or 2 game
Yep.
weeks, but his number was there. So yeah.
Yeah,
So
but
anything to
that's what we bought these players for, right? Their value
exactly? Yeah.
for price, right? So, I mean, it's not that I was expecting Bailey to match Haaland, right? I was
Mhm.
expecting Bailey to be Bailey, do Bailey things. So he has been decent. I mean, he could have been better if Watkins converts that goal. His numbers already looks better, right, than what it is today. At least the outcome from an outcome perspective. But as you said, looks decent. We'll talk about some of these players later as well when we talk about potential transfer options. We'll get there. So let's talk about the defenders next.
Yeah. So have you already? Okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it is the same thing. Along x-axis is the price, and along y-axis non-penalty XGI. So Perisic is only one game, right? So I don't know how much to read here, but he's kind of like nowhere near others. It's gonna definitely decrease, the more games he play. But he looked really good, right? He could have got actually even a goal, right? So assist was the minimum that he got, right? At even one assist. So but otherwise, Reece James and Trent, I mean, we know that. I mean, we have been talking about Trent. He has been essential. Yes, Liverpool looked leaky, but still the fixture there, they have like looking forward, especially against like Bournemouth, right? So it's very difficult to ignore him. So
Hmm.
definitely, and again, their numbers are there, right? Reece James, even last game, he started with right center back, right? And then whenever he came to right wing back, he actually had a couple of good chances. And one of them was a very good save. Another was like Kai Havertz actually missed his cross, right? So he has been like always like very like phenomenal, right? He always gives that like your feeling that he's gonna get returned. So it's very difficult to ignore. Now Cancelo and Robertson in the bottom left. Now Cancelo's number actually always like that. Even if you see the last season data, it's like point 0.1 ish or something like that. But it's just he is the bonus monster, and he always looked kind of like very like dashing, very appealing whenever he plays, and passing was always good. So you cannot ignore him. But Robertson, I can understand. I mean, I'm a Robertson owner too. Like he is I mean, definitely frustrating. But again, against Bournemouth, is very um,
Yeah.
difficult to ignore, because first of all, like Bournemouth, actually, if you see the like zonal data, like left flank, right flank, whatever. So in the right flank right now, actually, like Nottingham Forest and Bournemouth, those are the teams are really highly conceding, right? And that's where people like Perisic or like Diaz or Robertson actually can shine, because and those are the fixtures actually are really suitable for this type of players, right?
Hmm.
So it's very difficult to ignore them. In the top right, again, those are the interesting ones, but I feel interesting here the Nick Williams,
Hmm.
maybe because of his number. But again, if you remember in the like whenever we talked about the XGC data of the team, right, they had the highest XG
Yep.
considered, so you can always expect only attacking returns, as we talked about it in the last video as well. Otherwise, Zinchenko, Cucurella, always good, and maybe Saliba,
Hmm.
uh, and Trippier too, right? So he has been good too. So otherwise, yeah, I mean, those are the players I think can be stand out to me. What do you think?
Yeah, I think Robbo eye test from an eye test perspective, he hasn't been that bad, right? He did get into a couple of kind of goal scoring positions, which could have been goals, right? And then everything, all the narratives would have been different. Of course, it doesn't quite show up on the XG data, but it could have been, right. It's like that with Robbo so far in the first 3 game weeks. Not maybe in the last game, but at least in the first 2 game weeks, he was pretty decent. He did get subbed early in both game week 2 and game week 3, I think, by Simikas at around 70 minutes or so. And Nehal, who is here with us, who is a Liverpool fan as well, he's saying that he's slightly concerned with Robbo not starting the Bournemouth game. So that's something to look out for as well. We'll see what Klopp says. I mean, it's hard to expect that the coaches will be managers will be that upfront about a player that he won't start this game, but maybe we can hope that there will be some signs. So definitely, I mean, if there is any sign that Robertson doesn't start Bournemouth, I think he's clear sell, right? I can definitely say that there is no point in holding a 7 million or 6.9 million. I think he's right now defender, where there are so many other good options, right, in the 5 million ish price range. But yeah, that's it.
I really don't. I mean, I really don't expect, to be honest. I mean, yeah, maybe I'm a Robo, that's why I'm very hopeful, or I mean, very optimistic. But I don't really think that Robertson was the problem, right?
I don't
It
think
was
so.
basically, I mean, you probably watched that the tactical analysis between Man United and Liverpool game by the Tifo,
Mhm.
right? They have been doing very good recently, but they are also mentioned, right? The miscommunication between the like center back was the issue there, right? And Trent was very upfront, and it was very clear that Man United was playing like long balls to the left, and
Mhm.
that's where the all the gaps are there, and that created the gap between the two center
Correct.
backs, and that created the chances. So I don't see Robbo as the issue here, and I don't know why Robbo is going to be subbed, but you never know, right?
Yeah,
So, and
yeah,
Simike is good too, so we'll see.
yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, again, with the fixture congestion upcoming, anything can happen, to be honest. But Liverpool probably less, again, the least rotation prone. So let's see. I mean, a bunch of press conferences tomorrow. We'll look out for those, and hopefully we'll find something more definitive in there. Anything else that you want to talk about, the defenders?
No, I think
Otherwise,
let's
let's
move
move on.
on because we're going to talk about defenders
Correct.
anyways, micro level. So
Right. So basically, I mean, again, we are, as we said in the beginning, also we're kind of going to talk about some of the transfer options that the community is considering. First of all, we are talking to the defenders, and again, because the way things have gone, no one is necessarily talking about bringing in a premium defender, like premium defender, right? Either people already have them, or their performances have not been like super convincing that they are like kind of the bandwagon moves. These guys are kind of the bandwagon moves as of now, right? Very sick because of what he did in the last game. Trippier is one of the highest scoring defenders in the game right now. I think he had a return in all the first 3 game weeks, had clean sheets in two, and scored a fantastic free kick in the last game against City. And then Saliba looks good. Arsenal's defense look good. He also scored a very good goal the last game. And of course, we're not expecting Saliba to score goals necessarily every game or something, anything like that. And then Kukurea also, because we spoke about him last time in our pre-game week 3 video, that because of Chilwell's fitness issue, very likely that he will play more often than not, right? I mean, there is of course a likelihood that Chilwell plays once in a while one of the games, but I think there is still a lot of concern about Chilwell's fitness, that Kukurea will pretty much be nailed. Now, of course, Koulibaly did get a red card in the last game, right? So there is a chance that if Chilwell is fit, that he plays left wing back and Kukurea plays as the left center back. So maybe not the best case scenario at this moment if he does play the left center back. If someone has him, absolute hold. The fixtures look good: Leicester, Southampton, West Ham, Fulham. So all the way up to game week 7 before the Liverpool fixtures, it looks pretty good. Definite hold there. But is probably not the best buy right now. Again, given the fixture congestion, given Koulibaly's red card, given that Chilwell potentially can play left wing back. Uh, what do you think about Perisic? Let's talk about Perisic as a Perisic owner. How do you think his X minutes are looking like in the next few games?
Well, I'm not sure about his like injury yet. I mean, he looked a little bit, injured, and then I saw like post on Twitter that he did training. So that's kind of a little bit concerning. But again, as we talked at the very beginning, right, that the game week fixture, game week 4 and 5 fixture for Spurs are really not bad. I mean, at least he should be okay for game week 4, and then probably getting a rest in game week 5, and then start again game week 6, something like that. So he should start, I think, if he is fit again. If he is fit, we need to see the press conference. I think he should start 2 out of 3. That's my, I mean, guess. So, and again, Nottingham Forest was the highest XG considered, right, as we mentioned, and they were very vulnerable in the right flank, and that's where he plays. So if he starts, definitely I'm expecting he should get returned, right? So even if he plays, I mean, only one game, right, he gets returns like for 2 games, right?
Right.
So he can match it up pretty well. So I think it's if he's fit, I see him starting really against Nottingham Forest. That's I mean, experiences will be always an issue, but the ceiling that he has, it's really like unreal.
Yeah, and I
So
think those are the fixtures that you want him to start again, right? Nottingham Forest and Fulham. You don't necessarily
right,
mind if he misses out the West Ham fixture. He will probably come in anyways, as Nehal was also pointing out. Between him and Sessegnon, whoever starts, the other would probably come in at around 60, 70th minute anyways. But yeah, so I think again, look out for the conferences if he's injured. Uh, he's again given the fixture congestion. I think don't necessarily think he's the best transfer in right now. Game week 3 was the best kind of scenario, right, for to kind of get him in. If you already have him, hold. If you don't have him, I don't think he's necessarily the priority transfer, right? That's it. And then Trippier, if we discard the game week 5 fixture, Liverpool, otherwise their fixture looks pretty good all the way up to game week 8, and then after game week 8, most of the people will probably wildcard anyways. Game week 4, Wolves, and then Crystal Palace, West Ham, who are not in the best form, and then Bournemouth. So he looks primed for some clean sheets, and he's always kind of in play for some attacking returns as well, right? So I don't mind Trippier. To be honest, I think I would slightly prefer Trippier over Perisic. If you have a decent enough playable option in game week 5, if you can afford to bench him, or you can just play him also, right? I don't mind playing Trippier. He did score a goal against Man City as well. So I definitely think Trippier is a very good option going forward. Uh, and Saliba is kind of in that low price bracket, right? He did score a goal, as I said before, but you don't expect him to score, right? You are just expecting necessarily just the clean sheet points. Again, Arsenal's fixtures look good pretty much all the way up to game week 8. Fulham, Aston Villa, Man United, Everton, and Brentford. So I don't mind Saliba, especially I think he's still 4.6 million, so still a very, 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 very good price for playing for one of the best defenses in the league. So I don't absolutely mind Saliba either if you're moving away from a higher price defender, especially. So yeah, that's about it. Anything else that you want to add?
yeah, I just wanted to cover about the Perisic one. It's really very good shout. And Wolves was the second worst team in terms of conceding from set piece. And as we know, Trippier, right? His free kicks are like a penalty, right? The free kick that he took last time. So definitely he's a good shout. And their fixture, except Liverpool one, their fixtures look good, and he's more nailed maybe than Perisic, right? So more minutes there. So I think he's a very good option. For Saliba, yeah, as you said, he's not gonna get goals every day, but fans love him. I mean,
Yep.
you heard the chant, right?
Yeah, I
Uh,
cannot still forget that song, man.
right, and I mean, he looked very matured, by the way. So the problem with this actually, like, the third spot for Arsenal right now, right? So if you are already tripled up, so it's very difficult to get him.
Hmm.
But I mean, if you need a third spot, then he or Zinchenko could be a good shout. So, and it's the same thing for Chelsea, by the way. So Leicester City is actually the worst team to concede from set piece. I was talking to you before, right? So people like Reece James or like even Cucurella maybe, right, could get returns, and Leicester City has been leaky. So Chelsea assets could be golden this week. So.
Yeah, I think the press conference tomorrow, the Chelsea and the Spurs press conferences are going to be very interesting. See what Tuchel says about Chilwell's fitness. If Chilwell is fit, there is a very, very high likelihood that Kukura plays left center back, and in that case, he would not be on set pieces either. Um, but I think, again, I mean, if you have him, just be patient, hold him. Chelsea are not all of a sudden a bad defense or anything, right? They had a bad game, but be patient with him. But yeah, that's about it. I do know there was a question about Robertson before. At Arif asked that, would you, if you are transferring out Robertson, I know you are not, but if you would, who of these guys or anyone else that interests you, if you would transfer Robertson out?
Mm, it's a tough one. So I actually already have, you know, Ramsdale. So I was talking to you. I was thinking to downgrade Ramsdale to clean up or kind of open up the third spot of Arsenal. So I might get like people like Saliba or Zinchenko. Okay. I already have Perisic. I'm not gonna go probably with Trippier now. I mean I don't know if I, I mean, I feel like the ceiling is probably very not high over there. Yeah, experience are good,
Mhm.
but I would probably go with either like Chelsea defense like Cucurella or Arsenal defense. That would be my. I already have Perisic by the way. Okay, that's a.
Right.
I mean, given that, so yeah. I mean, I think those are the two options I would could go for. Trippier, if you have, definitely you go with him. But yeah, I don't know. I probably would not buy him right now. It's just my personal preference. The ceiling I
Yeah,
don't see much high. So
makes sense. Makes sense. And I think just last comment of the defenders. If you have Trent, please don't transfer him out yet. Doesn't matter how bad Liverpool's defense looks like. Trent still looks great. And you would regret, like, if he goes big, he would go really really big. I don't think this is the right time to move out from Trent yet. At least be, again, uh, patient in the Bournemouth game. See how Liverpool looks like with all their frailties and everything. But be patient with Trent. Someone like Trent, you really have to be. So yeah, that was the last comment on the defenders. Let's move on to the midfielders. We did cover this, some of their stats in the plot as well when we're talking about this. So some of these guys, right? So again, interestingly, all the midfielders. We, before the season began, we were all talking about the 8 million midfielders, right? Who is the best 8 million midfielder? There were so many contents, so many videos just on that particular topic, right? Is it Saka? Is it Kulu? Is it Mount, Madison, etc., etc.? And to be honest, none of them stand out at this point, right? Maybe Madison, but Leicester as a team looks bad. Madison did get returns. That's about it. Kulu did look good in the first game. Not bad in the second and third game either. I think he is probably the best attacker right now in the Spurs team. But no one necessarily stands out, right? Out of the 8 million midfielders, Saka has been very frustrating, right, for owners. Whoever started with him, Mount has been very frustrating, right? Whoever started with him, Diaz has been okay, just about okay, right? We did talk about his underlines as well, not the best for 8 million midfielder. So that's why we're talking about these guys, right? So some of these guys do stand out because their teams are doing good and they, as individual players, are doing good. Kind of surprise packages again, right? I mean, who was even thinking about a Rodrigo or a Harrison, right, or a Gross, like in the beginning, 3 weeks ago, right? So no one was talking about them, but now we are, because they have good form and good fixtures, right? Not necessarily just good form, not just that they're doing good. Their fixtures also look good. Like, so for Leeds, they have Brighton next, which is probably not the best fixture, but then they have Everton, Brentford. Brentford away is probably not the easiest fixture either, but then they have Forest and then Manchester, who are still kind of leaky, right? So will probably be better with Casemiro, though I expect them to be, but still not the worst set of fixtures, right? Between Rodrigo and Harrison. And we are talking about Brighton assets as well, right? If especially if you look at their fixtures, looks like prime opportunity, right? At this time, given their form, Leeds, Fulham, Leicester, Bournemouth, maybe Crystal Palace not so much, but their next 4 to 5 fixtures just are like super duper good, right? So uh, I was talking to someone else on Twitter today as well on Gross. So although he has been the kind of the go-to guy, the bandwagon guy for from a Brighton standpoint, I was talking to you yesterday as well, right? I think there is a good likelihood that Trossard kind of takes that place, because now that Brighton has their full-time left back in Stupian, I expect him to start soon as well. He did look pretty good the 20-30 minutes that he played last game. So once Stupian starts playing left back, Trossard was playing left back in the first few games, right? So I do expect to play more up front, and then Gross either plays a deeper role or maybe at some point even drops out of the team, right? So there is a good likelihood of that happening. So if you already have Gross, hold, but I don't think he's necessarily the best buy. Brighton's fixtures look pretty good, but I don't think he's necessarily the best buy right now. If you are like short for money, like you cannot buy anyone more than say like 5.7 million. I think we are talking about that with your team also, right? You have a Neto at 5.3 and you have zero point 0.4 in the bank. So if you are just stranded for money, only that's the reason that I would go for a Gross over anyone else, right? Um, what do you think about the Brighton and the Leeds sets? We'll talk about Zaha a little bit later.
Yeah, so I mean, we already mentioned at the very beginning, right? They have been looking really good, kind of as you said, like surprise package, right? By the way, like I mean, if you see the like carrier nPxGI for Rodrigo, it's actually zero point 0.5. It's really like not bad. I mean, in every other games you get returns, and all of other players actually. I mean, it's they are only 5 to 7 million. What can you expect? But their numbers are not really very like bad, to be honest, right? It's decent at their price. Leeds fixture, as you said, is good. Now, Harrison has kind of is in talk, whether he's going to be transferred to Newcastle, and if he does, then again he's going to play probably for a better team, right? At least, I mean, on
Mhm.
pen and paper. If ASM moves to Spart, so that's another talk going on as well. Now, yeah, I mean, I think these two players definitely are on under the radar. Against Brighton, it's not the best of the fixture, but again, after that, the team, the fixture looked good. Brighton is really this fixture run is really good, but as you said, for Pascal Gross, if you already have him, hold him. But I'm really not sure if I should buy him. I mean, I feel. I mean, I think you are saying right. Probably this
Mhm.
is gonna be his last return, and who knows if he's gonna get any further return.
Yeah,
We'll see. I mean, he looked good though. I mean, he looked advanced. His numbers
it
were
was really
there.
advanced. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but I mean, Trossard can come anytime, and Potter actually shuffles his team a lot. So, I mean, we'll see even this during the fixture congestion as well, right?
Hmm.
And I think their fixture, I don't, I remember, I forgot how their fixtures look like. I mean, during this crunchy time, but I think it's okay. So yeah, I mean, I think we can get a really very good pick, except Pascal Gross from Brighton, to be honest, because the fixture looks so good, so
Yeah.
good. I mean, I wish we could get someone clean that we definitely pick. So
Yeah, and I think people are kind of overlooking them as well because of all the returns that Rodrigo got and to some extent Harrison got, especially Rodrigo, right? I think he already has like 1 million plus transfer ins this game week, is the biggest bandwagon this game week. So, not necessarily bandwagons always work out well. We have seen that in the past. But because of his returns, right? I think he right now is the highest scoring player in FPL, if
yeah,
I'm
I
not
think
wrong.
four
Like,
goals, right? I
yeah,
think.
35 points, FPL points as well. So, definite reason to go there. But again, something that we have in the bottom as well there, how sustainable is this, right? His career in PXGI is like 0.53. Right now, he's performing at 0.92. Especially once Bamford comes back, maybe that's not going to happen too soon. but something to look out for definitely, right? These things happen like early in the season. Some of the players do really really good. Even like if you remember Ben Rama last season, right? Started off the season flying, like first three, four, 5 game weeks, and then kind of completely dropped off throughout the season. Necessarily didn't do anything throughout the season. So those kind of things happen, right? So you have to kind of take it with a pinch of salt as well. Make sure that you are looking at the games, taking it match by match, not just looking at the first 3 game weeks. It's a very very small sample, right? It's a very small sample for an eye test. It's a very small sample for data, right? So you have to be careful about that. uh, so yeah, that's that. Let's talk about Zaha. How are you seeing Zaha?
So Zaha looked really good, and if you see Crystal Palace overall team heat map, they're very much like, their plan is kind of clear that they're playing long balls to the left
Hmm.
side, and then Zaha is the man, the target man from where they're getting attack, and he actually was also kind of playing really good too, right? So their next game is tough opponent, Man City, but after that, I think people might be crazy about him. That's my hunch, because 7 million, right? And he has been looking good. If he shows some promise against Man City, in game week 5, we will see like his price is gonna rise, and he might be kind of in the template too. We'll see how it goes. And his fixture, I mean, Brentford is good. Man United, as of now, it's good. We'll see how it goes. Newcastle away is not the good fixture, to be honest. It's Newcastle away is always tough, and Brighton away, that's another tough fixture too. So essentially, out of 5, you can say 2 of them are good. So we'll see how it goes. But again, he was looking good in the against the tough opponents as well, right?
Hmm.
So I think he looks decent, and I think I remember when Diane was here, I believe she kind of also endorsed that this could be the best season of Zaha, and we might see
Yeah.
that, right? So
Yeah, I think as an individual player, out of all these players that we're looking at, I think Zaha is by far the best player. Again, individually, right? Of course, we're not talking the fixtures of the team, but as a player, I think he's by far the best among all these players. The fixtures are kind of, it's not too bad, but I don't necessarily think the Newcastle or the Brighton or even the Brentford fixtures are that easy. Man City could actually be a decent fixture for him if they do ploy the same tactics that deployed against Liverpool, right? Zaha was playing kind of up top as the sole number 9, right? Basically, everyone else was defending, and Zaha was the man up front. So who knows, right? So that could happen in the Man City game. I do like him. If I had the funds, I would probably extend to him over a Rodrigo or a Gross or a Trossard or whoever else we're looking at. We have a Brentford player here as well, just kind of as a placeholder. You did talk about this last week. We have Jensen here, who has been returning so far from a midfield standpoint, I think. But if you are really going to a Brentford attacker, I think it has to be Tony, right? And we'll talk about Tony in a minute as well. But that's basically the thing. So again, Brentford's fixtures also look very good. Everton, Crystal Palace, Leeds, Southampton, Arsenal. You cannot expect it to get any better. At least until game week 7, it looks pretty good. Um, but yeah, so I mean, I think if you have the funds to go to a Zaha, I think I would go there. Again, Crystal
yeah,
Palace, I
he's on
do.
penalty too, right?
He's on
And
penalties.
and he
Yes.
has that dribbling ability as well to get
Yeah.
penalties too.
Has
So
has absolutely guaranteed minutes, right? No matter what he plays, right?
yeah.
Unless he's injured, he plays 90 minutes as well. So I think I would go for a Zaha over anyone else on this chart. Uh,
The
Other
problem
player
with
that, yeah,
Yeah,
no, go
one
ahead.
problem with him though, like if he's if it is not his day, then you might get only
That's
0
the
or 1, because he's gonna get a yellow card. I mean, that you can
Yeah,
think about that
that's
too.
that's the always
Yeah,
a chance for that to happen.
right.
Yes. Some couple of players that are not on the pick chart, not on here, but we were talking about them, right? One, of course, being Trossard. We already kind of touched it. If you really want to go for a Brighton midfielder, I think Trossard is probably the best option. The other one is Gundogan, right? Again, we did talk about him last week. He's still 7.5 million. Almost looks like playing as the second striker beside Haaland, right? Especially when City is playing narrow with Cancelo and Walker, and Gundogan is pretty much playing up front, making all those runs that he was making like a couple seasons ago. Uh, what do you think of Gundogan as an asset right now?
I mean, I talked about it even, even I think from second game week, right? Yeah, I think even after first game week, I mean, I told you that he will be in the Pep's, like, new system. He's gonna be aligned pretty well. But the
Mhm.
problem with, again, City has the luxury of, as you said, right, of rotation, especially during the fixture congestion, right? Now, I think Pep likes him during the UCL fixture usually, right?
Yep.
And that's where Bernardo might come in the Premier League game. So there's something to look forward. Again, it comes to the X minutes, but if he plays, I mean, as you said, he's in the second striker role, right? And he has been actually even more benefited than Haaland, right?
Mhm.
Because sometimes Haaland kind of goes a little bit deep, kind of pulls the defender where he can go to the
Yep.
run, and he gets the ball, and he was getting returns too. Difficult to ignore, but again, keep eyes on him, especially during the country fixture time. So
Yeah, I think if Bernardo does leave, there is still a chance that he may leave. I think PSG is still kind of negotiating. Barca kind of is still in the discussion as well. If Bernardo
yeah,
does leave, it absolutely makes Gundogan almost a
very
no-brainer
appealing.
in a way, I think. But if Bernardo stays, then it's I think a big X minutes question, right? As you said, Pep really likes him for UCL games.
Did
So
you see Pep's presser today? I mean, I think he mentioned about, like, Bernardo likes Barcelona a lot. Did you see that?
yeah, he
Yeah,
mentioned that.
that
But
kind of, I don't know whether if it gives some hints that he's definitely leaving either way.
yeah, he
We'll
also
see.
said that we don't want to keep players who are unhappy, right? So there seems to be something wrong. I don't know what went wrong. He did. I mean, Bernardo probably played the most minutes out of any City midfielder last season,
Last
right? So
season.
it's not that he didn't get minutes or anything. So something is not right. Maybe he just wants a new challenge, right? So which is very
Hmm.
likely. City is not winning like UCL or anything either, right? So there is definitely a chance there. But yeah, so something to look out for. Look out for the press conferences. Look out for what happens in the uh, transfer window in the next few days. But I think Gundogan is still kind of wait and watch. Not someone that you have to jump on. If you are already on him, great. But if you are not quite there yet, I think you can still wait a little bit. All right, let's move on to the forwards then. Nothing too much to talk about. I mean, almost everyone is on Haaland. Almost everyone is on Jesus, right? So those two spots are already taken. But there is a definite discussion to have whether we want the third forward to be a playing player as well, right? A lot of us started with a 4.5 million striker. Kane has been okay, but as we said in the beginning as well, Spurs attack not necessarily gelling that much, at least not right now. So there is a definite discussion to be had, and all these guys are on penalties too, right? Tony is, Mitrovic is, and Wilson is. Wilson is injured though, so look out for that. So he potentially could be out for next 3-4 weeks. He is a injury-prone guy, right? Unfortunately, that poor guy. So he was looking in very good form, but I don't think he's an option right now. So necessarily, we are talking about Tony and Mitrovic, right? Um, and again, as we were saying in the previous slide as well, if you're talking about a Brentford attacking asset, I think you have to talk about Tony, right? With not the Da Silvas, not the Damsgaard, who hasn't even played a minute yet, not the Embuemos or anyone else, right? Jensen's, etc., etc. All of them are kind of rotation risk, and I think Tony is just by far the best attacker in that side, right? What do you think about Tony's prospect?
Oh, he's so good. First of all, he's on penalty. And he looked, I mean, even last season also, right? He was looking good, and this season also, um, actually, he justified his number at least. I mean, last season his start was really not the best. People are frustrated, right? That people got him, but he was not getting return. But eventually, he kind of made that up. This season actually he started well, and their fixtures are coming good. So out of these three, I think, I'm definitely gonna. I mean, if I have money or fund, if I think about three forwards, Tony is the one. And if you remember, even before the starting of the season, I was really on him. I really liked him, as a pick because of their fixtures as well. And I still want to back him if I need some restructuring here. Even better than any of the mid level midfields. right
Right.
now. As of Mitrovic looked good, Fulham was pretty good, but again, their fixtures out of these five, they are playing against three big teams, right? Arsenal, Tottenham, and Chelsea, and Brighton is not the best fixture as well. They are doing good, so that's where kind of I have concern there. Otherwise, Mitrovic 6.5 is good too. I would prefer always Tony. Wilson, we talked right at the very beginning. If you remember, ZD had in his team, and that was the time we told that he's fit. He's usually injury prone, but that's the time he's fit. You just get him. But
Yeah.
again, right? He looks injured, so kind of avoid
Mhm.
for now. So Tony is the standout for me out of these three.
Yeah, I think it's a valid strategy to kind of have Tony for the next four, and then maybe move on to a Mitrovic for game week eight,
Yes.
whether or not you are wildcarding in game week nine or not. I mean, even I think Fulham's fixtures, even after game week eight, looks pretty decent. So even if you are not wildcarding in game week nine, I think Mitro is a definite buy
Mhm.
somewhere around that time from game week eight time frame. And Brentford's fixtures actually turn for the worse, right, after game week eight and so on. So it's a definite good strategy, even if you already have wildcarded someone like, yeah, I mean, whoever. Like if you already have played your wildcard, I think it's a good strategy to have Tony until game week seven, and then move on to a Mitrovic for game week eight. Very, very, very valid strategy. I mean, this season, fortunately, it's looking like that third striker spot is probably something that we want, right? Looking more lucrative, as you said, than some of the mid-price midfielders, even the 8 million midfielders, probably. So yeah, definitely a good strategy. All right, so let's move on. Do you have anything else to talk about here, Angler?
No,
There
let's
was
move on.
okay, so fixtures again. We did talk about the fixtures a little bit. So just quickly touching on the targetable fixtures, and again, all the good teams have good fixtures this game week. Man United Southampton is probably something not being talked about enough. We were talking about this today, right? So it could be absolutely a great fixture for Man United, or it could turn out to be something like Brentford. It really depends on which Man United turns up, right? So it could be a good fixture, but again, Man United is still kind of wait and watch, right? So none of us are necessarily going there right away. A Rashford or a Sancho could become options pretty soon, but it's hard to judge based on that one game against Liverpool, right? So look out for that. Chelsea Leicester looks like a good targetable fixture. So again, Mount, Sterling, they have been disappointing, but if you have them, not probably the ideal week to get rid of them, right? So I would probably hold them for one more week, write it out for another week. Liverpool Bournemouth, absolutely targetable fixtures. No matter how bad Liverpool looks right now or how bad they were in the last game, this looks like a prime fixture to target. Man City Palace, again a targetable fixture. Again, no matter how good Crystal Palace is, Man City is Man City, right? So it's a definitely targetable fixture. Even in the last, before the last game, we were talking about the Man City Newcastle game, right? Newcastle are a good team and they were a very good team, but Man City still were able to score 3 goals past Newcastle, right? So they are that kind of team. So you can never disregard them. Arsenal Fulham is also a pretty good fixture. Fulham are not one of those teams that holds kind of sits back and parks the bus and so on. So I think they will go for it, right? So there is definite opportunity for the Arsenal attackers to do well as well. And then Spurs Nottingham Forest, right? And the last game of the game week. That's also a very, very targetable fixture. Right? As we have been saying, Forest defensively looks very, very leaky. Just don't go by the fact that they have only conceded 1 goal in the last 2 games. It won't tell you anything, but they do look very leaky. They're conceding a lots and lots of chances. So good game for Spurs as well. So let's just move on to the captaincy and we can talk. I'll let you talk about the fixtures a little bit here as well. So what do you think? I mean, is Salah stand out, no brainer, or are we looking at potentially a split in captaincy this game?
I mean, I think it's just because of the Bournemouth. I mean, Salah will be highly captain, but definitely it's not a no-brainer. I mean, the Nottingham Forest, right? They're 19th in, sorry, 20th in XG considered, and Kane is playing against them, right? So definitely valid shout. Haaland and De Bruyne, right? They were looking very good. Haaland could have got more returns, right? And they are playing against home, right? Although they were not very good against Crystal Palace even in the last season, but I mean, we'll see how it goes this time. And Arsenal playing against Fulham, right? And Jesus has been in very good form, so I don't think it's a no-brainer. But again, I think Salah is going to be probably highly or like mostly captain, but it's not an easy decision. At least I felt if you captain like Kane or Haaland or Jesus, it's a good call. I would not say it's a bad call. So
Yeah, I mean, especially if you look at Haaland's big chances, 2.6 big chances per game per night. That's ridiculous. Like, and I mean, even if you're not looking at the numbers, if you're just doing eye test, whatever, right? So he just looks so dangerous, right? I mean, he is not necessarily involved in the game all the time, but when he does have the ball, he looks dangerous, right? So it's hard to ignore Haaland. And again, as I said, no matter how good Crystal Palace is, I think it's a targetable fixture, absolutely targeting. So if anyone is captaining a Haaland or even a KDB, I don't see anything
it's
wrong there necessarily, right? So it's a perfectly good game week to go against Salah, to be honest.
Yeah, it's very valid. I mean, even he should have got that return. I don't know how he missed that the pass
Yeah,
that he got from De Bruyne. That was probably his
Pope did good though.
very.
Pope closed
Yeah,
down very
yeah,
very quickly.
definitely.
Yeah.
But like he knows or he has that instinct to go to the right position, right? Even
Hmm.
any rebound or anything, you see him,
He's
right?
always there.
He was always there. I mean, I mean, he's gonna be monster really, if he remains fit. So we'll see. But yeah, I think he's a good shout. And Nehal was mentioning that Jesus,
Hmm.
his EO was like over 100%, right? Last game week,
Yeah, I
right?
mean, even if no one captains him, he's
So
already at 100%, right?
exactly, right?
So,
So he's gonna. I mean, it's gonna be a shield for you if you don't captain him, right?
yeah.
So yeah, I mean, again, I'm gonna captain Salah just because of the Bournemouth fixture, right?
Hmm.
But I think if you captain all of these four, it's a valid call, very very valid call.
Yeah, yeah. Tottenham, I just probably wouldn't go there because of how kind of they don't look as oriented as we would expect to be a counter attack. Um, because Son is not looking the best, and Son and Kane kind of combines together, right? If Son looks good, Kane looks good. If Kane looks good, Son looks good. So just because of that reason, I would probably not go there. But again, Forest is a very, very, very targetable fixture. They are 20th right now from XG considered standpoint. Um, but just because Spurs as a team is not looking that great, I would probably not go there. But absolutely, the City boys and even Jesus. I mean, if someone is captaining them, I don't see any problem with that. To be honest, same. I'm on Salah as well. Again, just because of the Bournemouth fixture, he has not necessarily looked that great, right? To be honest, I mean, he in the game week 2 and in game week 3, both his goals were kind of lucky-ish, right? Kind of rebound-ish goals. He was there in the right place, which is also important. At least he was in the right place, so he was in the box. But he's not necessarily in the box as much as we'd expect him to be, or much as we want him to be. So something to look out for. Again, as you were referring BQ as well, they were also mentioning Pras was mentioning that it may not be a crazy idea somewhere down the line to even think of removing Salah for someone like a KDB or something like that, right? Especially if the form continues, right? I mean, of course, he is kind of overperforming right now from XG standpoint. It'll probably digress at some point, but if the form continues, it's not the most crazy idea.
Yeah,
But at least right now, yeah,
even 2 seasons before, right? I mean, season before the last season, like it was very much split between KDB, Salah, and also like Bruno, right? Fernandez.
right.
So yeah, I think I mean I look forward to it. I think it's gonna be something like that this season as well, and that's gonna be very much like interesting, right? In the FPL. So
Absolutely, absolutely. Maria, Salah captain right now for both of us. I'm pretty sure ZD is also captaining Salah. So with that, segueing to our teams or team selection. So as of now, this is my team. I'll just read it out first of all. Sanchez at goal, Walker, Reece James, Trent, and Doherty at the back, Bailey, Martinelli, and Salah captain. in the middle, and then Jesus, Haaland, and Kane. Um, I did not make any transfers, and most likely with the will roll. My biggest concern is, of course, Doherty. Kind of made that move on a rush before the Tottenham Chelsea game, right? I spoke about this last time also. But I think I'll just kind of see it out one last time because this looks like a good fixture for Tottenham. And if Doherty does play, there is a big upside. I did think about a whole lot, to be honest, moving from Doherty to Saliba, um, but kind of decided against that. I don't necessarily like the Arsenal fixture against Fulham for clean sheet. I mean, they can of course come out with a clean sheet, but I don't. I think Fulham will get something in that game. Um, but yeah, that doesn't sound like a move that will gain me a whole lot, right? But there is a better opportunity if Doherty does play, more to gain, if anything, right? And I'm playing Bailey as well because I cannot move him to anyone else. And again, as we said in the beginning, West Ham doesn't look necessarily the best team right at this moment. And Bailey does look in decent form. So I again kind of just riding it out one last time. Next week, potentially, if I do carry the transfers, I may make a little more drastic moves depending on how Spurs does or how Haaland's X minutes look like. So depending on that, most there is a possibility that I may want to move from a 3 to a 2 until I wildcard, right? So I don't want wildcard yet, and I don't think there's a necessity to wildcard yet either. But there is a possibility that I may move from a 3 to a 2 kind of structure. But it'll depend on a lot of things. I'm not sure yet. Like if I want to move out one of the premiums, who will it be? I think Salah will stay almost for sure, but one of Haaland and Kane might go. Who that will be, I think it's going to depend on form and X minutes. Any suggestions?
No, I think you just roll the dice here. Just one question: if you hear anything tomorrow, like anything negative regarding Doherty, what are you gonna do? Are you gonna keep him or sell him? What's your plan there?
Yeah, I mean, if it's absolutely negative, I doubt that it'll be anything definitive, unfortunately. But if it does come out in the press conference that he's not fit, match fit, etc., maybe I'll just make that Doherty to Saliba move anyways.
You can, I mean, if he doesn't play, if you can actually probably hold and play Da Silva, maybe. I don't know.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, I don't necessarily like. I don't even think he will start the next game. He didn't look that great in the last game. He did play for 70 odd minutes, but
Hmm.
there is a good likelihood that Damsgaard comes in. Um,
Right. Yeah,
so not too
that's true.
confident in there
I
as.
think it's just, I mean, it's the same thing for Perisic was, I mean, even right, that you think, okay, he's gonna start, and then he doesn't start, and the
Mm,
next fixture looks good again. You think, okay, probably he's gonna be having fresh legs. So
yeah,
this is, I mean, I know the feeling because I had Perisic from game week 1, and you it's the same thing for Doherty now for you for 2 game weeks. So
right.
yeah, I think, yeah, I mean, I think where boys were saying, right, that Emerson Royal didn't look really good in terms of defending. So if
Mhm.
Doherty is fit, I mean, he should come. I think it's just the fitness issue for Doherty. There is no way that he's not playing there. It's just because of his fitness. So let's hope he becomes fit and he starts. And
Yeah,
um,
he's at 4.7 million right now. By the side, I did lose zero point 0.2 million on him, but if anyone is if he is fit and if he does become an option, it's almost a game breaker, right? If he continues to do what he did last season,
Mhm.
4.7 million for a Tottenham wing back is absolutely a game breaker. So yeah, hope he plays. I just want him to play, right? I don't necessarily want a big haul or anything. I just want him to
Yeah,
play. I cannot take any more price drops.
yeah.
Already decreasing my team value. So yeah, let's hope that he plays. Let's move on to your team.
Yeah, so my team, it's big at the back, very big at the back. So Ramsdale in the goal, Robertson, James, Trent, Cancelo, and Perisic. Fortunately, he started last game week, and I'm expecting or very, I mean, kind of optimistic as well that he's gonna start this week as well. Salah captain right now. Unfortunately, Neto is still in my team. and the fixture actually is coming even better for Wolves, although it's kind of congested. So I mean, I have to play him. I mean, I cannot get rid of him right now unless I get player like Cross or someone,
Mhm.
which I don't like really. Martinelli, and then Haaland, Jesus. In my bench, Andreas, Reed, and Plunge. I think Plunge's price is going to drop. We'll see. I actually transferred, as I say, I took Reed last week. I was really waiting for that 4.4 midfielder, but actually I got that after the deadline, so I had
Mhm.
to make one transfer. So this week, again, I have two free transfers. So I'm again forced to do one transfer, although I really don't have anything burning in my team, right? Any there is no. I mean, I don't see much of weak link here except probably Neto. So I can I'm thinking one of the two moves. One is very boring. Again, get rid of Reed to a 4.4 million mid. Just get 1 million my money back. Just I have to use my transfer. Another transfer I was looking actually from Ramsdale to Sanchez, as I told you before as well, right? Because I was thinking to have some fund there, which I can use in the Neto spot in the future.
Mhm.
Either it can be Harrison, it can be Rashford or Rodrigo. I don't think I'll be able to get him because his price is gonna rise. I think, or
Yeah.
it probably already rise today. I don't know. So yeah, I think I'm gonna get rid of Ramsdale. That's another very much likely there um, to get some fund. Otherwise, yeah, that's what it is right now. What do you
Yeah, I
think?
think I like that as we were talking earlier today as well. I think I like the Ramsdale to Sanchez move. I really don't think the 4.5 million moving around because you are not necessarily gaining anything, not just points, no, you're not gaining funds either. So it doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily facilitate your next move. Like what is going to be your next move next week then if you do make that midfielder move, right? So that's going to be the same thing. You can probably just play Neto again and then look for something
And
else.
Neto is playing against Bournemouth in that week. That's another
Yeah,
problem, right? So
yeah.
I really don't know what to do here. But yeah, I mean, again, I think I'm gonna probably go from Ramsdale to Brighton, which may backfire pretty easily because Leeds are in very good form. But uh, I have to do a transfer, and what can I do? So
Yeah, I think Either way, you going to a Sanchez, even if he doesn't keep a clean sheet, I think because Leeds is an attacking team, you'll hope to get some save points anyways. So
so the
um,
question to you here, if I hear anything about Perisic, like anything
mm,
negative, what do you think? I mean,
I
my
sell,
bench is very thin, right? So um,
I'd sell him if anything negative, 100% sell him. I don't think he's worth
if I
holding
sell him, that's
points
an
or
I mean I
anything.
don't have
I'm just
Arsenal
concerned.
spot here. So the options are basically Walker or Cucurella or Trippier. Actually, looks
Mm-hmm.
like that's another thing. I mean, I want uh, three Arsenal. So in that case, I have to burn two transfer. Okay.
Which is not going to be the worst thing. You'll get significant amount if you do Ramsdale to Sanchez and Perisic to say, let's say Trippier for the time being. So you'd probably gain around zero point 0.8, zero point 0.9 million out of those two moves, and you have zero point 0.4 already in your bank. So
Mhm.
that gives you 1.2 plus Neto's 5.3. So you can probably even get to a Rodrigo next week if you want something somewhere in the 6.5. So not the worst thing in the world, even if you do use both your transfers. I mean, but yeah, if anything negative about Perisic, I would 100% sell him.
Okay. Yeah, and Robertson is gonna stay at least for this game week against Bournemouth. If if things don't look good,
Mhm.
probably he's gonna be a sell. And then I'm gonna upgrade to either Tony or um, any mid. We'll see.
Yep. All right. Okay. That's
It,
about it. And anything else that you think we did not talk about?
yeah, I think for ZD, I think he made the move. He got Perisic. I know. I forgot
Mhm.
in place of home, but
It's
he
all
got
Robertson, right?
maybe, but he got Perisic. Perisic. I remembered that.
Mhm.
So I think yeah, he's very busy. All of actually was all of us were very busy this week. We were not sure whether we'll be able to
Mhm.
do that, but at least we did that. So that's good. So
Yep. All right. Okay. Thank you everyone for being with us here today, tonight. Um, all the people that were here. Nihal, Derek, you guys are still here. Charles, you're here. Thanks for being here with us. Thank you, Wrangler, for being here with me within your busy time frame. We'll hopefully be doing like a game week 5 and 6 preview together next week because of the time period, right? I think Tuesday, Wednesday is game week 5, and then Saturday is game week 6. So most likely try to do both of cover those games together next game week. We'll see how we want to do this. But again, thanks everyone. We'll see you soon again. Best luck for game week 4. Thank you.
Yep.
Bye bye.
Thank you. Bye.